Hey everyone, and welcome to Maybe Daily, the podcast where we maybe and do so daily. It's been a long time since the last episode. It's probably been like a month, something. Who knows? Lost track of time with that whole pandemic thing going on. So why am I recording this now? Well, yeah, I didn't record for the podcast for People Drink Words 10 years, no, 1 year anniversary, and I still haven't done People Drink Words episode 10, which will happen eventually. Well, a couple of days ago, you might have heard, you might have seen that hashtag trending, Whole Lives Matter. And for some reason, every single time I see this trending on Twitter, before I even see the story of anything, I know exactly what happened. Somewhere in the US, a man got killed, maybe by a police officer, maybe by a random person, and that person doing the killing happens to be white, while the person getting killed happens to be black. And generally, you get people that get all riled up, and you have that Black Lives Matter trending, and then Whole Lives Matter just always comes out of thin air exactly when Black Lives Matter starts trending. So I thought, okay. I'm guessing that's what happened. That's the thing that's happening kind of regularly now in the US. And then I saw that tweet from that British rapper Zubi talking about a man who basically couldn't breathe and was begging for his life while getting killed by a police officer. I thought, did somebody bring up the Eric Garner death from 2014? Because I remember like there was even t-shirts and stuff like with I can breathe or hashtag I can breathe. I thought, okay, I mean, hard timing to bring that story back up, but why not? And then I thought, okay, you know what? Let's check out what's happening with that hashtag. So I went to click on that Whole Lives Matter thing. Because I guess that had to be related. Maybe something happened to the police officer who killed Eric Garner in 2014 or something like that. But no, that was a brand new story. Actually, no, same story, different actors. And this time, in Eric Garner's world, we had George Floyd, himself as well suspected of some bullshit thing. Like, I don't know if you remember the Eric Garner story, so yeah, let me take you back there. So in 2014, there was that man who was like, yeah, very overweight, like not the sort of person that you feel is threatening when you look at them. He was suspected of selling cigarettes individually, like basically buying packs of cigarettes and selling cigarettes one by one. Was suspected of doing that. And the guy was saying, no, I'm not doing that. I'm tired of being harassed. Please leave me alone. And then a police officer took him in a chokehold, wrestled him to the ground. And while Eric was complaining about not being able to breathe, the police officer just kept pressure until Eric passed away. So that was 6 years ago now. Well, a bit more than 6 years ago, I think. So yeah, that's Eric Garner's story. So what happened a couple of days ago was something, not exactly the same pose, but we had the same outcome. A man who gets suspected of some random shit. I don't remember exactly, but I'm sure that was like also a minor misdemeanor as well. I'll look it up and I'll put it in the podcast link. Yeah, gets arrested by police officers. He gets taken, I would say, he gets handcuffed, then put on the ground, knee behind his neck, applying pressure, and he complains that he can't breathe, and in his last breath, calls his mom, and dies as well. And the worst part is that even after he becomes unresponsive, after he stops talking, and there are people around that are telling the police officer to stop, to say, stop, you're gonna kill him, just stop. And the thing is, those people are being blocked by other police officers around that other murderer. So it's just a group of murderers. At this point, they're no better than gang members. Yeah. So I've seen people that were going out of their way to defend the police, are saying, we don't know what happened. Or if you don't want to get arrested by the police, don't commit crimes. But in that case, and in Eric Garner's case, there was no crime as far as the police knew was committed. Just suspected that maybe there was something, and even that something was not the sort of stuff that should grant you to be killed by a police officer. I mean, you regularly see serial killers that just get apprehended quietly, get picked up, handcuffed, nothing happens to them, they kind of chill, they don't get shot. And there, people that are just there like, oh, you may have sold cigarettes individually. You know what you're gonna do? We're gonna fucking chokehold you until you die. That's what you deserve for selling those cigarettes individually. If you did. If you didn't, well, we just say some thoughts and prayers and say we're sorry for your family and give you some cash. Yeah. Not great to replace a life, but you know, whatever works for them. Yeah. So I thought I had to just throw that out there. So the same happened with George Floyd. Picked up by the police. And I think the thing that I hate the most about this story is that the only reason we know about it is because there was those people who were coming to tell the police to stop, who recorded them. They recorded those police officers doing what they were doing. Well, this murder, let's call it as it is. They were calling them out and recording, hoping that maybe it'll help defuse the situation or help get the guy to be treated like a human being, right? Which is the basic thing you'd like to have. And no, they kept going until he died. Police officers were blocking the onlookers. And yeah, it's just fucking garbage. And I guess it gets even worse. Because the police report of this arrest, in the police report they said that George Floyd resisted arrest. That they were going to pick him up. And he resisted arrest, fought back, but then he felt sick. They felt ill. And then they called the ambulance. And that, unfortunately he's dead now. Which was, we know thanks to the video, thank God, somebody recorded. That wasn't totally bullshit. Like you have a pretty much 9 minutes long video where you can see the whole thing. And plus you get also video surveillance footage from before the video was recorded. And you can clearly see that George Floyd was not doing anything wrong. He was just sitting in a car. Police went to pick him up. He did not resist arrest. He got out of the car. He got handcuffed. And you see down that video surveillance footage that he gets pulled on the side of the road, right? And we don't see the part where he gets put on the ground with the knee in his neck. But the video from those people that recorded him shows what happened next. So at no point in any of this footage we see any resistance. So the question is, if police officers can falsify a report, can just lie about what happens, how many other George Floyd do we have out there that just didn't get the chance of someone having a phone to record what was happening to them? Like, the fuck do you do then? And yes, I know, don't worry about what you don't know, but I worry that I don't know it because I know what I know by accident. I mean, yeah. And then that fucking All Lives Matter hashtag, which is the biggest bullshit ever. I don't understand why it's even a thing. At first I thought, okay, all lives matter. Yeah, let's remember that all the lives matter, which I'm guessing everybody knows or should know. Well, actually, not everybody knows that because, you know, what happened just happened. So we know that not everybody knows that all lives matter, that everyone should be treated with a little bit of respect and dignity and not, you know, stomped in the neck with your whole weight of probably somebody who's weighing like 200 something pounds. You don't put that on someone's neck. Just as a matter of human decency. It's not even about, oh, don't put them in there. It's like, hey, don't do that. And no, people were like defending, I'm guessing bots, probably bots. Like I was checking through comments on Twitter, which I know nobody should ever do. But it felt like you had a bunch of bots and children saying, oh, if you don't want to commit crime, no, actually, even better, it was like, oh, if you don't want to commit crime, if you don't want police arrest you, don't commit crime. Like, shut the fuck up. Those guys, there was nothing on them. Nothing against either Eric Garner 6 years ago, George Floyd 2 days ago, and whomever comes next in a few days, weeks, years that we will or won't know about because police is allowed to lie about these things apparently in the US. So, yeah, shut the fuck up. So, oh yes, all lives matter. So back to that thing. So yes, to me, why it's the biggest bullshit hashtag ever is that it's only happening because you have that Black Lives Matter that took off. Like, what? Where is all lives matter when you get a school shooting? Like, oh, children's lives matter too. I guess we can agree on that, right? Or when a woman gets beat to death by her husband, where does her life matter? Like, oh, don't women lives matter as well? Wouldn't you say that? Like, why just when you get Black Lives Matter coming up? Whole lives matter, not just the black. It's like, it feels more like a, whoa, black people, calm down. It's not all about you. Oh yeah, I know a lot of you get killed by police. But, like, no. No. Just let the Black Lives Matter live. And yes, not a perfect movement. Like, they seem to encourage sometimes rioting and shit like that. Which is not great either. We can all agree on that. And yes, they don't talk about gang violence of black people killing other black people and all this shit. But it doesn't make their point on murders that seem to come from racism any less valid. It's not because they don't make a case for every single bad thing happening out there that we should not listen and that we should try to hide it and cover it with a new, shinier, seemingly nice hashtag, which feels like it has a more insidious message behind it. Message being, shut up. You don't need to have a voice. Yeah, it happened. Deal with it. We're cool. I mean, not just Black Lives Matter. Okay, we're all at the same level, which we're not. Well, at least in the US. In here, I've never really had to worry about racism. Well, at least it never affected me in a way that I would have to start worrying about it, to like look outside the door, see if there would be like a burning cross coming up in front of my house in the morning. Never had to, well, I don't think people have to worry about specifically burning crosses. But is America that far? Like, if you follow what's on the media, it feels like not that far, actually. They might not be that far from that. But that's probably an exaggeration because I'm still pretty angry about what just happened. Maybe America is fine-ish. Aside from that whole police brutality thing and Black Lives Matter hashtag always being silenced by that whole lives matter. And I find that interesting. I was talking about it with Jared the other day, and it feels like it's a very American problem. Like the whole police brutality towards black people. It feels like it's just out. It's just there. I don't see that really in the UK, nor back in France. I don't remember seeing that sort of story coming up so often. And there has been a story or couple, but it's never like, oh, police was going to sit on your neck for 10 minutes. Nothing like that. So yeah, I just don't worry about this. Like, I don't worry about these sort of things. And yeah, I mean, where's whole lives matter when it's not about black people getting killed? Where was whole life matter fucking 3 months ago when you get coronavirus coming up and people saying, that's fine. It's just getting whole people and vulnerables. Who gives a shit about them, right? I don't remember saying, don't say that. All lives matter. You should take care of everyone, the elderly and the vulnerables. Whole lives matter. Hashtag. No, not even a peep of that fucking hashtag. Nothing. Actually, instead you had boomer remover. Yeah, fuck the old and vulnerable. They put us in shit. They should all die from COVID-19. That's fucking terrible. And I'm like, seeing the absence of all lives matter, when it's not like when that thing happened, when the pandemic came about around our countries, it just, to me, shows the hypocrisy of that hashtag, that it's only there to silence Black Lives Matter and not there to make a case of all lives being equally important. So, fuck all lives matter. Fuck that bullshit hashtag. I mean, I'm not too surprised that it's stemming from the US always. Because, I mean, remember, like, the US is the only country that at one point in its time had a fucking... Wait, the Ku Klux Klan. Oh, fuck, I always have a hard time to say that shit. Ku Klux Klan, yeah. At its peak, it had like fucking 6 million 6 million people, I think, in the US back in the mid 20s. So, right after the economic crisis, I guess that was the right time to recruit more people into an ignorant racist ideology. But the thing is, there was a lot of 115 million people in the US. So basically 5%. So you take a room of 20 people in the mid 20s in the US, one of them at least is part of the KKK, which is massive. Like, you can't even imagine, you can't even fathom how many people that is. Like 6 million people, it's a number that doesn't even make sense to our minds. Yes, we know it's a big number, but imagine a room. Well, you can't have a room of 6 million people, of course. But like, it's Paris. 6 million people is Paris. Like, imagine whole Paris is KKK. And it's a fuck ton of people. Might be more people than that in Paris now, but yeah. At one point in time, Paris had 6 million people. So imagine that whole of Paris. You go to Paris, you see the KKK bakery and the KKK policier and the KKK Eiffel Tower. They put a big hood on the tower. Just picture this. A whole white Paris, KKK signs everywhere, burning crosses at the periphery of the city to ward off the suburb for regular communities or whatever. That is not a pleasant vision. And yeah, as I was saying, it feels to be an American-specific issue that, of course, I can't do much about it. I'm just going to rant here for like 15-ish minutes and then move to something else, because we can't stay stuck on these issues if we can't affect them. I can't affect it any more than saying something. And chances are, neither can you, unless you're a politician in the US that can trigger investigations and put more control and restrictions and keep those policemen in check. Like, I hear about like those fucking vest cameras that they're supposed to wear, but on the video you can see none of them is wearing that. Like, maybe that's why they felt like they could just lie on their report and kill this man. Maybe all they need is to put camera on every single policeman and make sure that they don't fuck with it. Like, they don't try to turn it off or whatever when they're doing something shady. And once again, like, that's the kind of shit that makes me think twice when I have to go to the US. I'm like, not the guns. Like, the guns don't worry me on their own. Not even the gangs. I'm not worried about the gangs. I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll run into one and high five, whatever. Nah, the most worrying thing there is the police. And it's a very interesting feeling, considering that here, I don't feel worried about the police, nor in France. Like, the other day, there was a guy who got arrested with 20 fucking knives in his bag or whatever. And he didn't get stomped in the neck. He didn't get his legs broken. And yes, yeah, he was black as well. But that's the thing. Different treatment, different country, different treatment. Some countries will treat you with respect and dignity, and others won't. And yes, of course, I'm generalizing for the US police. But it happens so often that you'd have the feeling that it's a normal thing there. And yes, you happen to have maybe a majority of decent police officers that do their job properly and treat people with respect. But those big cases of people that really get treated like shit, like garbage, gives a bad look to the whole of American police and makes people worried about police. And it can only breed violence and riots, which I don't agree with. But that's what happens. That's the consequence of letting these things go unchecked. But yeah, so in the UK, there was that guy who got arrested with 20 knives, fucking not even far from here. I mean, that's a lot of fucking knives. Like, unless you have a knife delivery service. Like, oh, hey, Abdul, I need a knife on the fucking Walworth Road. Like, okay, I'll be there in 5. Yeah, that's it. Or maybe unless you're that sort of serial killer who just stabs people and you leave the knife in the person and then you walk away. Weird shit, but whatever you do, whatever rolls your boat. Of course, don't stab people. You shouldn't stab people. Just don't fucking do that. But yeah, that guy, 20 knives, just walking around carrying none of it. God, how many knives is 20? It's fucking... Well, of course, we can fathom 20. Boom, boom, that's 20. But fuck, man. No violent arrest. Well, actually, they haven't. Yeah, no, they arrested him. Wasn't violent, as far as we know. Just got caught. They picked up his 20 knives. Jail. That's it. Simple. Very simple. You don't have to go around murdering people. But that's the thing. Knives. The guy had knives. I'm guessing he intended to get some people killed. If not him, the people they was delivering the knives to. If he was actually a knife delivery service person. And it's not like, it's not your nice little kitchen knife or your nice little fucking knife that you cut steak with. No. It's like army stabby knife. There you go. So yeah, nah. Gets treated like a human being despite being what I'd assume be a piece of garbage. America, get a guy suspected of committing a petty crime, gets killed. Different countries, different treatment, different HUDs for you, different HUDs. I don't think you should be worried about dying when a police officer comes to stop you, because police is there to protect people, to serve people, and like to help keeping the society safe. So what happens to your society when you're worried the people meant to protect you will kill you? Nothing good. That was Jean-Dominique Guélet, your host of the PDW and Maybe Daily, and I will see you next time, maybe in tomorrow, maybe in a month, who knows. We do maybe, and we do so daily. Bye-bye.